All right, so welcome to our conversation. Hey, Bob.
How you doing, Csaba?
Why are we sitting here?
Well, we think that we have something to offer in our collaboration, coming from a little bit different angles to the same issues. I think can be valuable for folks.
Because there's so much information out there, and what we found, people are confused, right?
Should I be vegan? Should I be vegetarian? Should I do ketogenic diet, Atkins diet? What should I do?
Yeah, I see that. We've tried to be a portal of information for health and science to our folks.
Okay, so how important is science to you when it comes to your process?
I think that concept of science or evidence-based information is a little bit bastardized, but we do have a pretty solid foundation about cellular health, system health, organism health. It's easy to point towards different trends in the past that steered us in the wrong path. But in general, if we stay in the middle of the road and use what science tells us, then we can analyze certain trends and fads that come along. For the most part, it should have a good solid foundation in science of what we already know. Now, how is each individual organism going to react to that science and that trend is another question. But I think what we do is stick to the real basics, Well,
that's interesting because I came from a background with a mental mindset that science is there for us to learn so we can apply. And then where I ended up being is I was thinking that we used to have superbly healthy individuals running around in nature without any science, right? So I started to pull back a little bit personally from science. So when you and I started to collaborate together, the reason I like that because you have such a solid understanding and interest in testing and scientifically seeing things, which I kind of lost a little bit the interest, but there is such a huge value in it as well.
The whole approach to people's health and wellness, it's an art and a science because we need to, first of all, modify people's behavior. So you're not always getting 100% of what you want, you're getting what you can get out of some clients.
Yeah, totally.
And we've talked about this before. I tell my staff, the few professional athletes and even some recreational athletes and just the common clients we have here who do everything we say by the book. And then you get to see the results because they're doing everything. Where most, let's face it, myself, it's an 80-20 rule. Doing 80% of what I'm supposed to do and 20%.
That's a good one. 80-20, if someone does 80-20, I'm happy with that.
It all came into physical therapy because it's not pure laboratory science.
Yeah.
It's not repeatable experiments over and over again. You can repeat and get the same results. And that creativity is fun too, to be able to meet the person on the level where they're at. Not where you're at, but where they're at, to relate to them and make behavioral changes, and it's a process.
Yeah, what is your biggest enemy in your career when you deal with clients? I'll give you one of the biggest enemies, our fashion. Fashionable way of health and fitness is one of the biggest
trends and fads.
Trends, like as much as I believe people like, Arnold Schwarzenegger brought such a hugely valuable things to the world of wellness, but many things that he used in his career as a bodybuilder has zero application to most people's lives. Same with Jane Fonda. If you look at diets like Atkins diets, so when people say that,
what do you think about this diet?
Whichever is the newest fad right now, the keto diet. Everyone wants to do keto diet. Well, there's a place for that, but it depends on for who, in my experience, and why are you doing it, and what do you expect from it, and is it sustainable? So anyway, so the fashionable things are the biggest obstacle, in my opinion, for my clients at least, to wrap their mind around a process that's realistic, doable for them individually.
I agree. First, I wonder, when a clinician gives up everything they've been doing for this new fad, I'm wondering,
how much did you believe in what you were doing in the first place?
Yes.
The biggest obstacle is the lack of scientific knowledge that the average person has about their own body. It should be taught in school. What's a fat? What's a protein? What's a carb? What components of all this stuff we see in the health and fitness world, which ones do you really need to have a solid health and fitness? And it's not a matter of opinion. When there's a consensus in science, it means typically that a lot of experiments have been done in different labs in different places. So a lack of that, and then therefore, they fall for anything.
Yeah, it's the interesting part of things that I believe that everyone basically today in our modern world knows enough about health. If they would just apply what they know, they would be much better off than where they are right now. And oftentimes what happens, people start to question a lot of the basic knowledge pretty much everyone has. Like walking and movement, good for you. Most probably running is good for you, unless you have some biomechanical issues. There are certain basic things that most people buy into.
But our culture has been so bastardized by images on television since the beginning of television.
Yes.
And for instance, almost every patient I meet, they spend more time taking care of their teeth than they do the rest of their body. They understand that teeth, need to be brushed and flossed, and every 3 months you got to go to the dentist and get a cleaning. But they'll go for months and months without thinking about their ankle for 1 second, or their knee, or their body.
Yeah.
And they just assume it's going to work. And
So why is that?
I don't even know what it is about dentistry that holds such a special place with all of us. Now, did they just do a great campaign? Well, they never taught us to stretch, or they never taught us the importance of even hydration, like for instance.
Do you think that has anything to do with mirrors? I have a very interesting relationship and ideas about mirrors because such an odd object, which we didn't have for most of our evolutionary history. So staring at yourself is an odd thing for a human being. In normal natural settings, you know everyone else's face way better than your own in a tribe. And I had the good fortune to see some folks who really haven't had much time with mirrors, and when they look at themselves in the footage that I record, they're always so fascinated.
Amazing.
Because they just never see themselves. They know everyone in their tribe. And traditionally in Native American cultures, for example, when the tribe was preparing for a ritual, you never dress yourself. They made you look pretty. They fixed your hair, they dressed you, because they can see you, you can't see yourself, which is pretty interesting. So maybe too much of staring oneself, this self-centered way of existence, is why there's a distortion into modern reality when it comes to the individual, what you should be focusing on. You're focusing on what's in front of your face.